Are we supposed to introduce ourselves? And do we do it to the camera? This one. Hi, I'm Ali Wong.
Hi, I'm Oscar Isaac.
And this is the A24 podcast.
I'm using my podcast voice.
You sure are. Very NPR of you.
Yes.
Very non-threatening.
Yeah, I'm non-threatening.
Very cozy cardigan. Very...
Like my little cloud drink.
Yeah. So, Oscar, I don't even know... Like, I just assume that people who are movie stars don't watch TV because it's beneath you. So I was surprised that you were a fan of Beef and that you watched Beef. So how did you even come on to season 1?
Well, everybody was talking about it. I remember watching the first 2 episodes and like just loving it. And then I have children that don't let me watch anything. So then I didn't get to finish it. It was one of those where I was like, I got to finish that. And then I had gotten a call from Sonny about a new season.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like, well, now I gotta finish it. And I loved it. And it was so funny because like I already liked it from those first 2, but then in that 3rd episode, it takes such a turn emotionally, you know, when Stephen's at the church and the song is playing and he starts crying. And yeah, it was...
You know what's funny about that is that so in that scene where he starts crying, we were all at dinner together and I was like, oh my God, Stephen, I just watched that scene. And I was like, he was like, oh yeah. And I was like, it's so funny. And he was like, no, it's not. And I was like, yeah, it is, man. I was like, it's hilarious how you just start, how like you're like that and you just start crying. And he was like, I don't.
And can't stop.
Like, and then he was like, I didn't think it was, I really don't see it or whatever. And then I was so uncomfortable and I went to go to the bathroom at this like Korean barbecue place. I was like, oh my God, did I offend Stephen? But then thereafter, a lot of people, and then he sort of like embraced it. But because he was so committed, that's why it worked.
Of course.
Because he can't judge it and think that scene is funny.
You know what it reminds me of? I remember when I was doing Inside Llewyn Davis, and whenever I would...
Which I just saw recently.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, when I would do...
So good. So
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
When I would do a scene, and if I thought of it, I was like, "Oh, this scene's pretty funny." I would do it, and there wouldn't be much of a reaction. But whenever I was in my most in pain, the Coens would just be cracking up.
Yeah.
And so
I
there's
think
just something
that
about
commitment.
that.
You know, where it is so, you do take it seriously. And the
Yeah.
part of you that can connect to taking it seriously is like that's what makes it work.
For sure. I mean, I think it's also like Sonny's tone, right? The fact that is happening, which is very real, but surrounded by all this like hyper Christian praise music that's happening at the same time. And I grew up in like evangelical, like Christian world, and so it also, I found it very funny from that standpoint as well, and like the youth groups and like the rock, Christian rock, and all that. But it is what I loved so much about talking to Sonny about this one too. This Beef 2 is his incredible observations of things that are both really painful and really funny, and like the absurdity and like in a way the compassion with how small people can be. Yeah,
it was so. I mean, season 2 is so great. You're so great in it. You're so funny. I mean,
that means a lot coming from you.
So funny. I mean, everyone knows that you're funny from. I think. What do you think? I think like it's when I watched Ex Machina. That's kind of when I got put on to like. I was like, oh, this dude's like so funny. In addition to being a great actor, like when you're wearing that fur vest, and you're like having the time of your life, and then the joy just like drains so quickly. Like you go up and you go down, and then you're like down about being down. It was like there were just like a lot of really and you have like a real menace to you too, which is such a fun part of Beef too, because in a way like you're not really like a gangster, but everyone in Beef is like gets to be a bad person, and it's so fun. But so how much did you ideate with Sonny over your character?
Well, I'm curious about you too, because I mean, this for you, like the transition too from stand up into something like this, you know, like what that was like for you. Yeah. And I was very curious, you know, going into this, you know, this role in Beef that you had was like so massive and it asked so much of you, how that transition worked for you and what your conversations with Sonny were like. So I want to hear about that, but I'll answer you about this. It was like a courtship. Remember, I was doing Frankenstein at the same time, and we would have these
Oh, he gets so excited when he calls.
Yeah, and we'd have 2.5-hour conversations that like I would cry. We would go really deep. If I read anything from like a self-help book recently, I'd be like, hey, I just read this, and we would just go down that path together. Incredibly open about his own life, which encouraged me to be open about mine, which was strange with somebody I'd never met other than just on Zoom.
Yeah.
And so his sensibility is really what won me over, because at that time I think there was maybe one episode, and even that episode it wasn't quite there yet. There were some ideas, but it was out of those conversations where I thought he's got his beat on something, and he's really funny, and we connect so much on just like the spiritual journey of getting into middle age. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he really asks. I mean, you've seen those tie-dye T-shirts with the Ram Dass quotes that he wears. Like, he's a very spiritual person, and so it's sort of like begs of you to really be vulnerable and open up with him personally in those conversations. And then it's really interesting what he extracts and extrapolates from there to your character.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's kind of the best version of co-creating with somebody. But there were times where, like for some of the scenes, I wasn't used to memorizing like that amount of dialogue.
But do you memorize your stand-up routines?
I do, but I write all of it, right? And so with a lot of some of the dialogue, I was like, I remember there was one day we did like, because we had a lot of time constraints, and I said to him, I was like, I can't do this in one take. I know you want to do it in one take, but I just can't do it. And he was like, I think you can do it. And then he was like, we got to go. And then that was it. And then I kind of just didn't have a choice to think about it too much. So, and I'm not the kind of person to like go back and forth with him because it exhausts me. So I'm like, all right.
To try to fight it, yeah.
To try to fight it, and I see, like I think that's a lot of people's process because it's like in that they understand more, or I don't know. I don't really know.
Right.
I don't really relate to that. I just am like, I'll go where you tell me, and I'll do whatever you say. And then I just kind of say the words, but. So, but we also just didn't have time because we hadn't
the first
proven
one.
ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that was like really a blessing because I just didn't have time to think about it.
Overthink it.
Was it like
It's
that
the
for
enemy
you?
is the overthinking.
When like on your first big project, where you like didn't?
I mean, I was so hungry to get an opportunity coming out of drama school.
Yeah.
That I think when I got it, I just was like, this is everything. This is going to be my dog day afternoon.
And what was that?
This was a movie that this Scott Burns, a good buddy of mine, says he's a great writer, and it was the first film that he directed. It was called PU 239, which is like a plutonium isotope, and it was like playing this Russian gangster trying to sell plutonium on the black market.
Oh yeah, and you're like, this is very important.
Yeah. This is
going to change the world.
It's going to change the world. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I can be overthinker and like to talk about things and like to try things and question everything. Like it says I come in through the door, but why don't I come in through the window? How come I don't come in through the why doesn't so that it all like all the possibilities collapse to the only thing it can be.
I see.
That's kind of fun for me,
Yeah.
And in fact, figuring out what it is usually kind of a bummer because then it means all the other possibilities.
All that is gone.
Yeah. I like when it might be anything. It could be this. It could be that. It could be this.
Did you collaborate a lot on your wardrobe? Because I found your wardrobe so subtle. But that's another thing about Beef. It's very subtly funny.
Yeah.
The wardrobe.
Yeah.
Like Carey's wardrobe cracked me up, dude.
Yeah. The wardrobe is.
She was wearing like those she had these coordinated linen suits that had embroidered like little dumb things on them, and then your wardrobe was like. It was just so coded and still. Oh, okay. What did it say to you?
Well, Olga's incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's astounding, and she's so funny and subtle as well.
Yeah.
But before that, the first place I started with was the hair. And I work with somebody named Tim Nolan, who's incredible. And the first thing I do is like, okay, what's this head gonna look like? You're gonna see a lot of this head. What are we doing? And we landed on this like little mullet.
Yeah,
so
it's like
it's the tiniest rebellion, of trying to hold on to something.
Youth, to
exactly
that,
to youth and to like, hey man, I know I'm a country club manager.
Cool guy.
But man, I'm a cool guy. And
that's what that was like really writing that line, like with that, like it followed through with the whole wardrobe.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really important. And sometimes we would take our cues off of Sonny, of like what he was wearing and the Crocs and the oversized sweaters and playing with that idea and also what the suits looked like. And we wanted the suits to look like it's something that he wants to look good in, but he doesn't want to look like an agent or something, So he wears his the Oura ring as well, and all these little things that kind of create.
He's really like trying to still have it all.
Yeah, and that's a great thing I heard recently, which I feel like kind of encompasses Josh. I heard someone say, "You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want." Mm-hmm. And I think the show is a lot about people trying to have everything they want. Yeah. And it's just endless grasping.
Yeah, just even when he's talking to like the who's the guy who's super rich at the club who has the private jet?
Troy, yeah,
he's talking to Troy, and like you're still trying to have everything, and you're like not even like it's so. I mean, Troy plays it really well, but you're like not reading the room. Whereas before, you're so like your character's so sensitive.
Yeah,
you're so desperate that it's like you can't read his. This clear sign that he's like that something's off.
Yeah, the desperation overtakes all of that, the fear and all that.
What was it like working with Carey again after all these years? Because Bill showed me Inside Llewyn Davis because I'd never seen it before, and I was like, this is amazing.
Oh, no.
And I was like, and you hadn't worked with her since then, right?
I hadn't worked with her, so we worked together on a movie called Drive.
Oh, right.
Way, that was the first time I had met her. We were both still in our 20s, and.
You guys are a couple.
In Drive?
Yeah. Oh, no, you're not.
In Drive, we are.
You are, but then you die.
Yes.
So fast. Okay,
I'm in prison, and then her and Ryan Gosling kind of get together.
Right.
And so we were like young and Hollywood, and just things were starting to open up, and it was like amazing to meet her at that moment. And, and then years later, Llewyn Davis, and I had met my significant other. She had met her significant other, Marcus, and we were just like newly in love and like this big, role and about music. And so that was amazing to meet at that point. And then now to come together again. Is
it true that you also auditioned for that at the very last minute?
For Llewyn Davis?
Yeah.
It
like they had already decided, like a decision had been made.
They hadn't decided yet, but they were. No,
I had heard that a decision had been made.
Well, they were getting close, I think.
And then you came in, and they weren't really familiar with you.
Yeah, no.
And then after you sang, and you had auditioned, they were like, "Oh no, we don't have a choice."
Well, they didn't tell me that part.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, I mean, it was the character was designed on Dave Van Ronk, who was like a 6'5", 200-pound Swede.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So then we met on that after we have kids, and we've lived a lot of life. It was just I've never worked with anybody better. She's just. I talk about with kids where they talk about parallel play. Right, it's like kids play next to each other, you know, and then a developmental thing is when they actually start playing with each other.
Yeah,
and it's like acting with her feels like, oh, usually I'm just doing parallel play, Usually I'm just kind of doing my thing next to somebody doing their thing. Often it can feel that way, but with her, it's I don't know, it's just something else happens, and I just think I'm mesmerized by her.
Yeah, it really feels that way. Like when you guys are together, and I think it's because. I don't know if it's because also we have this as an audience, have a relationship with you guys as a couple in these different forms, but it kind of already feels like you have reincarnated many times, together as I don't know, it was really interesting. And that's the other thing that's interesting with, Sonny, when he does casting, it's all very, very intentional, so I think he takes that into account too. But
I think that was a big part of it. And then when we started working, especially on that first fight scene,
you have to be really comfortable with someone to go there.
Yeah, and also just to write it together. Like the three of us wrote that thing together. I mean, he wrote it, but the way that we workshopped it, the way that we would do very long improvisations, and some of that, in that kind of Sidney Lumet style would come into the, he would incorporate that and write around it, and Yeah, that was really exciting to kind of have authorship over it that way. I mean, we're a couple of EPs sitting here, a couple of beef EPs. That was a really cool feeling to really feel like
that's the best
imprint.
part about working with him, and then you're like, did I? And then you watch it and you're like, oh, like he put that in there. We put that in there. Oh my God.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
When I would get some of the scripts, I'd be like, oh, that's a direct quote right there. I'm not sure I can.
I know. Okay, there's two things I know Sonny loves. He loves it when people get at somebody with their bodily fluids. He loves that. He also, and he had it twice this season. But you were a unknowing receiver of that. Your
of the body
character was.
fluids, yeah.
Yeah, but there's also.
I give some bodily fluids too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
There's also your masturbation scene.
Exactly.
Is that your first masturbation scene?
No, it can't. It couldn't have been. Surely I've had many more masturbation scenes that I can't think of at the moment. But I mean, it might.
I mean, it's okay.
How'd I do?
You did great, but
it?
I believe it. But that's the thing. Like, again, you have to not think that you're doing a masturbation scene. Like, you have to really commit because it's an embarrassing thing to do in front of people. So you really have to like.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, for you, was it? You're like, oh, what? I've done it 100 times. Have I done it once?
Yeah.
So clearly, it was like not.
I've just been around for so long. I'm sure I did it somewhere. I mean, of course, it's so goofy. Like the.
But you have to make it not look goofy. You can't be like, ooh. You can't be like cartoonish about it. You have to like.
Yeah, I have to
and the
think
truth
about,
is, when most people masturbate, it probably doesn't look good.
No, that was a big talk. Like,
yeah.
Sonny and I on set talking about like, well, how, and then how should we do this? And so he's like, well, if I was going to do it, I would do it like this. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Legs splayed out. All right.
Like laptop.
With laptop in front. Okay. I'm more of like, I guess, the side, kind of on the side. And we would try to set that up. Be like, what story does that tell? You know? How much self-love is it? There's a lot of elements of that expression. But for us being like, okay, well, I guess this is kind of his safe space, and it means a lot to him to be able to
He's
do
in
this.
his man
He's
cave.
in his man cave.
Yeah.
So it's actually
no one's watching.
He's mindful.
Yeah.
Of it. It's not just like, let me just like, rub one out while no one's around.
Yeah, this is the wind down.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's the wind down. Right.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Whereas like it felt very real.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, that was something that through our conversations got added in that wasn't there originally. Not only the masturbation, but the OnlyFans. There was. It felt like, you know what? I think he's got to have something of his own that he's holding. That's a place where he allows himself like some freedom. I mean, that was ultimately the big thing with Josh is, like, I found even playing him, even talking about him, I start to go back into my throat like this. Yeah. Because he was like such a strangled character. Yeah. I actually had to do work with somebody to be like, this thing is strangling me too much. I don't know why. Yeah. That happens, and it's. I think it's just a real testament to his writing, which is that it's just as a response that it creates in me when I start thinking about him and his life and how things go. It's just everything gets tight.
I think that's like a common thing with all. That's very relatable, but all the characters in Beef have a way of feeling really trapped. By a life that they built for themselves, or by.
Yeah, these constructions.
Yeah.
Right? These constructs of identity and of life and of surroundings and of goals and inevitably, like, everything that is constructed falls apart at some point.
What was it like working with Kaylee and Charles?
They're so great. I mean, I've been a huge fan of Kaylee's actually for a while. Yeah. I remember seeing her in Devs, which is Alex Garland. He did this show, and she played like a little boy, or not little, but like a teenage boy.
Oh, wow.
And I said, who is he? And it's like, actually, it's Kaylee Spaney. And I was like, this is an incredible performance. And she's great. That scene that we get to do at the beverage cart, like when... on the golf course, it was like one of the first scenes. It's so fun. You know?
because she's not saying anything.
No.
It's just, yeah,
just twitchy and like trying to, say the right thing,
I know. And then she just really goes on the journey of being just like corrupted.
Yeah, you see that. So, she was fantastic. And then Charles is such a mensch. He's like such a beautiful soul, like so funny as well. And he's great. I think I find that the character that he made just indelible. So he's so great. He's pitch perfect in this thing. I really loved working with him.
The speech you give to Charles after you do Buffo. And like, I love that. I love the Buffo scene so much. And when they do the, like what you're seeing, and then they cut to you just on the ground, like, like, and your hand is like, and you're on the ground, and the way you're like, again, I mean, when you do psychedelics, it's not fucking cute. Like, like with masturbating, like people, and like a lot of times again, when on TV, when they masturbate, they like are feeling their hair and they're like going like this. I'm like, no one is doing that. Like your fists are clenched. It's like a tense experience. And like a lot of times with psychedelics, like when you're positioned like that. And doing that, I'm like, that's exactly, you look like a squid on the floor.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
That's like out of water. That's exactly what I know I look like that in Joshua Tree at that Airbnb, So I was like, who made that decision?
Well, that was thankfully, I mean, this, YouTube is an amazing place.
Okay.
So I was like, there's got to be people on Buffo on YouTube. And so I went down a rabbit hole and I found somebody making that exact sound going, like bubbling saliva, and then read more about it, and like it can give seizures and it can give different kinds of the reactions. There's lots of different reactions, especially if people start having a freak out. And so there's some videos of,
but there's a way, and that feels like that when you're doing that, where it's like there's a way that feels good too, and you're just very free in channeling,
like that guy
out, like a baby, like whatever,
whatever
you're like experiencing, where it's like it can be exhilarating, it can be like a big release or whatever. But I was like, that is,
it's an animal release.
It's like
an animal.
That's why it was
shivering.
Like it was like a like a sea creature. I was like, this is really like that fluttering. I was like, oh, this is very, very real.
Well, the way that you guys did that whole psychedelic scene was so also very beautiful, and so deep, and I mean, it lifts in such an amazing way, that part.
So that, I don't know if Sonny told you, we didn't know what we were doing, I think, until a week before.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Seeing a pattern here, Sonny Lee.
And then all of a sudden we were just in that national park or forest, and I was like, okay, I guess. No time to fight. No time to
That's his trick. I mean, we were in Korea, like shooting the last episode.
Where are you going to go?
And
who are you going to complain to? Nobody.
Gonna get those pages? Because we're here.
But it's kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and especially at what point in the shoot did you guys shoot that? Was that towards the end?
That was at the end.
That was at the end.
Yeah.
So there's some trust at that point, too. That what's what.
Yeah, well, at that
so
point
scary.
too, I had worked with Sonny before.
What did you do?
He was a writer on this animation show I did with. Oh, you're a former co-star for was it The Card Counter? Tiffany Haddish and I used to play these best friends who were birds. Tiffany, I have to say, it was very funny. So I love Tiffany, and she's one of my dear friends. That trailer. Okay. I laugh so hard when there's the glass between you, and there's this shot where do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then her long fingernail
like, the credits start to go over the finger.
What is this movie? What is this alternate?
Yeah, Paul Schrader, man, he's a wacky dude.
Tiffany and Llewellyn Davis are together, and her long fingernails shaking this like hilarious combination. So Sonny wrote on that. We've told this story a million times, but he had wanted to do this, show about a road rage incident he had with this guy, and he wanted Steven in it. and he always pictured the opposite character of Stanley Tucci. Did he tell you that?
I think I'd heard that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then I randomly had a conversation with Sonny during COVID.
I'm sure it's been your issue. The whole career is always Stanley
Tucci
or
or me.
just
I
always
know.
kind of
It's like some women are like that Jessie Buckley always, and I'm like, oh, Stanley. I wanted that pasta show. But I wanted to play the killer in the Lovely Bones. Is he the killer in the Lovely Bones?
He was the killer in the Lovely
Bones.
Oh,
yeah. So then I talked to Sonny one day during COVID, and he was like, this whole time I wanted Stanley Tucci, but now I think it would be a lot more interesting if it was you. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I would like, it's been my dream to work with Steven, and you're such a fantastic writer. That would be amazing to collaborate with you guys. Yeah, I had never done anything like that before. And then once we started actually getting into it, I was like, what have I done? But it was great. And I mean, it was one of the best experiences of my life just because of how collaborative it was. And then, like, I don't want to get, like, too woo-woo, but, like, I do feel those guys and I still remain very close. It really is. I imagine, and I hope to have the kind of working relationship that you have with Carey for, like, years to come with Steven, you know, just because you really don't find that every day.
True.
I used to think when people would talk about chemistry, I always thought it was like, a romantic sexual thing, but it's really not that at all.
No, I think it's more about ease.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember sometimes doing auditions. I remember I was doing whatever, it was a play, and I'd already been cast, and I had to read with a lot of people coming in. And sometimes, like, I couldn't tell who was better. Just sometimes it was way easier to do the scenes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was a lot harder.
Right.
And not because they were necessarily worse actors. Not. There was just something that made it, like, easy.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Okay.
All right.
Is that it? Yeah? Do we want a more nice conclusion? Okay, great.
Right. It'll just fade out on us talking. And
Yeah.
then be like,